Hello, hello, hello. Happy Sunday. So nice to see you. Do make sure you say hi in the comments below if you've popped on now or in the future watching the recording. It's a long weekend where I am and it's quite lovely. I'm not going to lie. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend, and if it's a long weekend where you are, happy long weekend. So, try not to knock everything over. I want to talk a little bit today, have a little chat, a little Sunday chat about this concept that has come up a few times, interestingly enough, over the last little while. And it's this idea, this sort of new agey idea that if something is really difficult, then it's not meant for you and you should move away from it. Bullshit. Did you hear that? Did you catch that? Come on. Everything that you try that is new is going to be somewhat difficult at first. And if it's something really new, it's going to be more difficult at first. And there's nothing wrong with that. You, as we've discussed before, can absolutely do hard things. You have already done many hard things. So where does this come from? Honestly, I think it comes from a good place, a place of, don't keep beating your head against a closed door. But doors have these things that open them. And in the case of learning something new or doing something new or switching vocations or branching out or moving to a new city or whatever it is that you're kind of like angsty about, the thing that opens that door is knowledge. Simple as that. You can get knowledge from like a coach, a mentor, a book, a YouTube video. I mean, Lord knows, you think of one thing that someone may or may not want to do. Somebody's made a YouTube video about it. Probably many someone's. So this idea that because something is hard right off the bat, it's not meant for you. That is not true. 1000% not true. I'm going to go ahead and say this. And I know this might ruffle some feathers and maybe it ruffles yours and maybe you disagree with me and I'm okay with that. But I have come to the conclusion over the years that our purpose in life is not the thing that we do. It's the how we do it. So if you're deciding that, maybe like you no longer want to work as a waitress at a restaurant, you want to sell shoes, or you want to travel the world, everything is figure outable. Everything. Now, there does come a point when you realize something may or may not be for you, and that comes when your why no longer matters. The why you decided to do this thing no longer matters to you, and then probably the thing is not for you anymore. Maybe you've reached the end of your interest. Maybe this was a stepping stone on the way to something else. You needed to learn something from this in order to get to the next thing or be exposed. I don't know, whatever it is. But if you feel called to do something, then do it. None of this bullshit excuses that things that are hard are not meant for you, because I have news. I have, in my own personal experience, had to struggle to do things. And now I look back and I realize the lessons and the joy that I now have comes from the struggle. And there's this metaphor that we can talk about where there was a man who, and this is just a little story that made a lot of sense to me after the fact. There was a man who once saw a butterfly trying to break out of their cocoon. And if you know anything about that, you know it's quite a struggle. The struggle can go on for hours and hours. And it was struggling and he felt really badly for it. And so he reached over and he broke the cocoon open and released it, thinking he was doing a beautiful thing. And he was doing a kind and generous thing. It just wasn't the right thing. Because without the struggle, the butterfly doesn't develop what it needs to develop in order to fly. So this butterfly, because it didn't have the struggle, was unable to fly. Now, I apologize, I don't remember all the science behind this, but this is true. And I think this is true for us in a lot of ways too, that if we expect everything to kind of just come naturally, come easily, we're going to be in for a world of sadness, disappointment, and I think later on some regret. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for you. Now, this doesn't mean that you should expect everything to be hard, or that if things are overwhelmingly hard, you shouldn't take a step back and maybe look for some assistance or reevaluate whether or not you really want the thing. And again, that's where knowing your why are you doing this? What is it that you really want from doing this is important. Those things are also just as valid, but this idea that something, just because it's difficult, or you're struggling a bit at the beginning, or in the middle, or even at the end, that means that something's not for you. Bullshit. Sorry, I don't think that's true. I think there are many instances where we forget about the struggle because we see the success. And I can imagine how many inventors, top athletes, successful in business, people who are successful in charitable ways would tell you there's a hell of a struggle. And that's okay too. The thing you have to remember, everything is figure-outable, and you don't have to do it all at once. And just because someone did something one way, and they're telling you this is how they did it, and they're suggesting you do it that way too, if it doesn't work for you, adjust it. What I do know is if you want to change something, or you want to do something big in this world, you don't do it all at once. You never do. Rarely. I mean, I can't think of a single time someone just woke up one morning and said, I'm going to change XYZ, and just did it and it stuck. I don't know too many of those. Most of the time, every change, every new venture, every new habit comes from small, consistent steps. Not the big ones. So, for example, when I started coaching, I didn't know how to set up a membership site or blog or, just so many things, right? Facebook Live didn't exist yet, and I had to figure that out. But if I had to figure that out all at once, I'd still be sitting at my computer desk with my old computer, staring at the screen going, holy shit, I'm never going to do this. Instead, I took one aspect and I figured it out. That's it. For a long time, I did no online coaching. I only did in-person coaching because the technology was overwhelming, but I got started. And there's a saying, and I honestly don't know where it comes from, so if you do, please let me know in the comments, that said if you want to do something, you only have to be, I think it's like 75 or 80% ready, and then start. The rest will fall into place. The things will show up. So what does that mean? That means I don't need to know all the technology. I don't need to know, what it's going to look like in 10 years. I never could have guessed this. I had no idea about Facebook Lives and YouTubes, and I never would have guessed that I would have had channels on the internet, or be doing videos like this for you, or having group coaching on Zoom, which, by the way, I gotta tell you, I am liking. And I never would have been, stepping into a bigger platform. I never would have ever thought that. And if I had thought I'd need to figure that all out at once, like 12 years ago, I would have been like frozen in fear. I didn't. What could I do? And what steps could I start figuring out? That's it. And that's how it is for everything. If you want, when I wanted to, after I recuperated from my broken leg 2 years ago, I wanted to start running again. I didn't just start running a marathon. No frigging way. I huffed and puffed and walked and ran and huffed some more. But it was consistency, right? The first time I went out, you guys, I think I made like 10 minutes and I was like, I can't. This hurts. My leg is weak. I gotta go home. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Not a lot. But I did 10 minutes again the next day. And then before I knew it, I was a little bit longer and I could push a little bit harder and probably harder than I should have. But that's just how I do. Everything in small, specific increments. That's how you make big gains. Right? If you try to diet cold turkey and crash diet, what ends up happening? You fall off that wagon really quick. Right? Everything in incremental steps, small steps, little things, build it. Build it. So, please, my loves, if there is something that your heart is calling you to do and it seems so overwhelming, just know. Just because your heart says, I want you to build, the next Eiffel Tower, that doesn't mean you have to do it today. What that means is you start learning how to weld somewhere. I don't know. Or, you learn how to do design. I don't know what it is, what the step is. But you don't have to do the whole thing in one day or 1 week or even 1 year. And it's okay. It's okay if your goal is to build the next Eiffel Tower monument and you only get the designs and that's it. Someone will take up that cause. The muses always get their way. And if you ignore their call, they'll move on. They'll find someone who will. And I mean, have you ever had that happen where you've had a brilliant idea? I know I have, about something, and you hum and you haw and you kind of ignore that call, and eventually the call gets quieter and quieter, and the next thing you know, you wake up the next summer and someone else has done the thing. That's happened to me, and I don't like it. I don't like it. But the thing is, it will always find a way. So let it be through you. Let it be through you. Even if it takes you your lifetime, that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to stop everything and you don't have to do everything all at once. Stop telling yourself that. And just because something feels hard doesn't mean it's not for you. Please stop quitting your dreams because it feels hard. That makes me so heartbroken. So heartbroken. And if you need support in that, or you need help sort of breaking it down and figuring it out and laser focusing on those things, please let me know, because that's one thing that coaches can help you with. But please stop quitting on your dreams just because they feel hard. Please. The world needs your light. I need your light. You need your light. So let's keep shining. All right? I will talk to you really soon. Mwah. Bye for now.